Evening, and welcome to the Orville Union High School District Board of Trustees meeting scheduled for Wednesday, October 19th, 2022 in the Orville Transportation Conference Room located at 2139 Washington Avenue in Orville, California. Roll call. Scott Damon is here. Amber England, Bonnie King, here. Ray Seahorn, and Annette Walker. We're off to closed session to discuss Personnel Government Code 54957. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated or existing litigation, Government Code Sections 54956.9. Conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Sections 54947.6. Graduation requirement waiver, California Education Code Sections 51225.3. And pupil discipline, California Education Code Sections 48918/35146. We are now going to close.
Testing, testing.
Welcome to the Orville Union High School District Board of Trustees meeting. Results of closed session, there weren't any. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda variance. Do I have a motion for approval? And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Public hearing. Dr. Willenberg?
So, the state of California has established a ratio for the number of administrators to teachers per the Education Code 41402. High schools can have 7 administrators per every 100 teachers. The board has directed the superintendent to add a district-level administrator to the 23-24 school year who will succeed the current superintendent when his contract expires on June 30th, 2024. The cost of the proposal would be the salary and benefits for 1 year, which has not been determined. The district is required to consult with the teachers' bargaining unit and hold a public hearing to solicit input prior to the filing the waiver. So that's why we have this public hearing today.
Okay, now that item is now open for public discussion. That is now closed for public discussion. Board, any comments, questions? That item is now closed.
So I'm going to ask that we move student achievement recognition down until Mrs. Wiedemann can get, oh, she's here. So we'll start. I didn't see her when we came in.
Okay. Orville High School is on its way.
I can use my teacher voices. It's all good.
Mike's a little different, they're a little bit better.
Okay. Good evening. I apologize for being a little late. I was at the swim meet for Orville and Las Plumas, their championships. So thank you for having me tonight.
So how did they do though first?
I know Las Plumas won their relay, right? So there were 2 events left when we left to get here to come speak with you this evening. So, but yeah, the boys relay for Las Plumas is really strong. They blew them out of the water. So I've had a fun time watching the swim teams this season. So we've had a busy few weeks at Orville High School. Last week we did the first ever school-wide PSATs. That was a undertaking. We've learned a lot. There were a few bumps in the road, but we have learned how to make it smooth next year. I think it was a really good opportunity for kids to get exposure to that type of environment, especially coming out of COVID. And like our freshmen now, they took their first set of the CASP for the first time in like 3 years, just in the spring. So having this opportunity to experience standardized testing, high stakes testing is right in line to get them ready for college and career. Additionally, it's homecoming and spirit week. Classes are having fun decorating. The kids are really getting into our spirit themes. Today was soccer moms versus barbecue dads. So we had aprons and spatulas as I walked through classrooms. So it's fun to see. We're looking forward to our last couple home games and then obviously the Bell game on November 4th. So looking ahead to next year already, we have several new course offerings in the works. We're looking to add pre-AP English and bio or biology. And we're also going to look at refocusing our math department a little to add a finance and business pathway, have personal finance as a course offering for students because I feel it's really important that our students come out of high school being financially literate so they can function well as adults. We're also looking at integrating STEM with some of our math courses through UC Davis as a C-STEM program So next year, the first course will be Math 1 with computing and robotics.
All right.
So additionally, we've had some clubs very active on campus. The environmental club did amazing with their seed ball fundraiser. They put together all these seed balls and sold them for, I think, $3 a piece. And the plan is in the spring to go out and hike and plant some of them. They're natural wildflowers with the ecosystem. So additionally, FCCLA, we actually have a student from FCCLA here this evening doing a fundraiser selling tiger paw earrings to support the Ouhsd culinary garden expansion as part of an Eagle project. So did you want to?
So what's happening today?
Oh, yeah. So this is,
How many pairs?
there you go. I'll let him talk.
An example of the earrings themselves?
Here,
All right.
They
go
can't.
forward.
For my 3D printer.
Bonnie. How much are these?
I'll take it. $5 for those, and then I have studs in here for $3.
Well,
I'm gonna buy all the girls right here a pair right now. Is that $20?
I'm not sure what
Four
you know
times
what? I'll
five.
take care of it, and I'll take care of your bill at the student store tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I pay now?
Okay. Well,
We'll put them on.
And they have to wear them at their meetings.
That's a good idea.
Corey, you want a pair?
Can I see the other style of it?
there you go.
Oh, you're gonna get the $7 pair. I knew it.
these, and then I have small, medium, and large studs. I don't know where the.
They're just, I think Donna just put in large ones, maybe.
Can I take this one? Yeah. I want one that hangs down. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
So
good place for business, huh?
plan on setting up a table at the homecoming game? Yeah. And the bell game?
Oh, great.
You did say how you're related.
Well, I wasn't gonna, this is my son. So that's all I have for this evening. Do you have any questions for me?
I missed what you said, the English, the new English.
Oh, so pre-AP English, so that'll be English 1 and 2, looking to replace our current honors. It tracks in line. It's from the College Board, who currently is where our AP classes come from. So it sets the kids up in line for AP. It's going to be open to everyone. So just giving different course options, trying to step up the rigor to make sure our kids are prepared for college or career.
And one of the things that this ties into is we did the A through G improvement plan, and we said we would do some pre-AP coursework. AP coursework will increase A through G, we hope, but it also will help. We're hoping to increase the rigor throughout the district with offering courses that will take care of A through G and prepare kids for,
Life outside of
Career.
high school.
what's that?
Life outside of high school.
Life outside of high school. And like the Honda PAC program.
Oh,
we're
I
gonna-
forgot about that. Thank you.
So Honda and Acura have approached Orville High School and want to be a pilot program for the West Coast for PAC. It's only been in community colleges, and they're only going to put it in a couple of high schools. And Orville High School will be the high school on the West Coast.
So that'll allow our students who go through the auto program to come out with professional automotive certificates, so they can go straight into working for Honda or Acura.
Or a dealership.
Yeah.
And so what'll happen is if they pass the coursework, so it'll be probably in the Auto 3 course right now, is they will get a number from Honda. And so their number will follow them throughout their life as a Honda tech. So if they have all of these authorizations with Honda and Acura, that will follow them. And a dealer, if they apply in a dealer in Nevada, they can go and look up this kid's number that they started at Orville High School.
You know, personal finance is a class that a lot of parents always ask about too. It's a great idea.
It's just having discussions with kids. I had a student in my office last Friday. Like, he's a senior. He's one of my kids. Like, I'm praying that he graduates. He started at Orville High School the same day I did. So he's on the bubble. So I was asking him, what's your plan after high school? Well, I plan to buy a house. Well, where are we going to get the money? Well, I'm going to get a job. So, okay, well, you'll have more job offers if you get your high school diploma. So
Yeah.
even now, kids don't quite understand that money's just not given out freely. And how to, make sure you balance your account and don't run up credit too much. And so I think it's really important.
So do I. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, recognition of individuals who wish to speak on non-agenda items.
Good evening. My name is Bill Harrington. I'm the principal of Poplar Avenue Elementary in Thermalito. And I wanted to come here tonight to share with you that last week, over 150 fifth graders from Thermalito schools, all of our elementary schools, spent the week at Shady Creek Outdoor Educational School. And we couldn't have done this at all without the help and support of 17 high school students from all 3 high schools and the support of their high school's counselors, Dave Croxall, Noel Gerardo, and Autumn McIntosh. The week at Shady Creek was absolutely incredible for both our fifth graders and the high school students. I spent the first part of the week up there with them. I was incredibly impressed by the maturity, the leadership shown by our cabin leaders, your high school students. And I wanted to make sure that you knew that they represented Orville High School District and the community of Orville exceptionally well. It was a ton of fun, and it was really great. And I just wanted to show my appreciation and let you know that they are representing the district and the community well.
Thank you.
Thank you, number one, hugely. And just to come, I spent 10 years as principal at outdoor school. And believe me, as you say, those high school counselors, they make it or break it.
Exactly. And it was.
High school counselors are good. Those sixth graders have a good week. If they're not, it's done.
It was absolutely amazing, and I think they were amazed by the experience as well, and I think they had a blast. And I just want to say thank you. It made a huge difference to everybody involved. So
Great.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, recognition of individuals who wish to speak on an agenda item. Okay. Non-action items, board comments.
Sure. I met a man at the Hall of Fame and I sent a couple of you the videos that he sent to me. I have not watched the video yet, but it has all to do with CET courses and also construction. As I said, I haven't found out about it yet, but I do want to bring it up because I told him we would certainly look into it and he'd like to come talk to us. So I'll send you one, Amber, and I sent one to Corey, and it's kind of too good to be true, but who knows? You know? Yes, I did. He is with Kevin Brown. No, his name is
Last name you said was
Ferretti. Ferreria.
You spelled it.
You must have sent me next to him.
I think that's Kevin's boss.
It is Brown Boss, yeah. So
So
I'm not sure about any of it, but it sounded great.
so I can reach out to have Paula help me reach out to him.
You spelled it Ferrria.
Test.
No, I just spell anything anyway to get it in my phone. Besides, I'd already had a glass of wine, so I was having a lot of trouble.
That's through the apprenticeship program.
It sounded good, but complicated.
Okay, Dr. Willenberg, comments?
Yeah, we have a lot of great things going on. We have some good instruction going on throughout the district. We had a training this morning with Dr. Rubalcaba, who you'll meet here in a couple of minutes, about PBIS and classroom management. I'm really thankful to have Mr. Wood on board. He's been helping us tackle some stuff that I've been working on since May. So I think we have some great things going on, and that's all I have right now.
Dr. Watts? Mr. Wood, you want to have a welcome statement?
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here finally. It was a long time waiting, and I appreciate the patience you guys had in that regard. Since I've been here, I've been focusing a lot on the federal progress program monitoring and the compliance issues that we've been facing. And I'm happy to report we're down to 2 left, and those will hopefully be done within the month. And I've been working closely with building principals and with Dr. Willenberg to get these things wrapped up, and also looking at ways to put things in place for the future so we can avoid these things. One of those things we're working on is, especially with our English learners population, is we're revising the master plan. And in that'll bring us up to the latest standards and the latest things that are required by the Department of Education. And we'll also provide some safeguards and things in there that'll help us maintain compliance in the future. The other thing that's really hard with compliance is keeping and tracking all of the compliance documents and things that we have to keep in case we're audited. And so we're going to work to put together an electronic tracking system that we'll use in-house to allow buildings to upload their stuff to a central location so that we have it all in one spot. So that then it's a quick and easy thing when we are monitored that we're able to grab and go and be able to shift. And it also allows me to keep an eye on it and to keep accountability for things that are being done or not done. So that's where I've gotten to so far.
All right, thank you.
Glad to have you.
Okay, item 6, DOJ update by Dr. Rubalcaba.
Dr. Rubalcaba. So Dr. Rubalcaba we hired him in concert with DOJ. We had to mutually agree. We brought him in to oversee our stipulated agreement. So basically, we work with him, and then he reports back to DOJ. And he has been fantastic. For our principals love him, our teachers love him, and he's just been very helpful for us trying to move some things forward. So I asked him, since he's in the community tonight, is to give us the DOJ update.
Thank you, Dr. Willenberg, members of the board, Dr. Willenberg, Paula, cabinet, and the community. I'm happy to be here before you to provide an update. I think it's important to know just a little bit about me. I get to work from coast to coast with school districts across the nation. I have consulted for the Department of Justice, the Office for Civil Rights, Department of Education, and have been to the White House. I get to see a lot of districts. And I'm going to tell you, in my work over the 3 years with Oroville Union High School District, I have not been more impressed. More impressed with the commitment to making sure that students succeed from our classified members, our teachers, your administrators, both your APs and principals, and the results speak for themselves. You have seen significant changes in your data related to school discipline and other areas. For example, this evening, the feedback that you received regarding that camp experience is a reflection of the amazing work of all of your stakeholders to develop and prepare the best students to be productive members of our community. Now, all of that work takes leadership, and I have been extremely impressed with Dr. Willenberg, because most school districts hire someone to do that work. But Dr. Willenberg has decided to lead the work. He has been as hands-on as I have ever seen, doing whether it's documents, working with principals, providing the training himself, working with me and doing site visits. And I'll give you some examples. When we go to visit sites, students know who the superintendent is, and he knows a lot of our students. He knows every single staff member that we've ever come across during our site visits, and they know him. But he not only knows them by name, he knows like their families and who they are and what vacation plans they have. He's just extremely invested in the community. Your data is looking very good. Some of the products that you have delivered as a part of the stipulated agreement, for example, the newsletter that contains updates related to the date, fabulous, absolutely fabulous, and has served as a model for actually other school districts as well. So I wanted to let you know as your monitor that your team under Dr. Willenberg's leadership has done a phenomenal job. And the Department of Justice has provided feedback to myself, but also directly to Dr. Willenberg about the progress that's being made. There's still work that needs to be done, and Dr. Willenberg is the right person to continue to lead that work and sustain that work. So I wanted to provide a brief update to the Board of Trustees, just really commending the amazing work that has been done by all of your stakeholders. Your principals and APs and everybody's just working really hard. And I have been super impressed and honored to serve side by side with your team. I don't know if there are any questions for me.
So one of the things that the trustees hear from community members or from parents or teachers is that we don't suspend anymore, or there's no discipline happening on campus. So could you talk to that
Sure.
a little bit?
So that's not accurate. But your administration is working twice or three times as hard to do alternatives to suspension that are more relevant and effective. I'll give you an example. Some of your administrators, assistant principals, have taken students and done something called structured day. Instead of sending the kids home on a vacation where they can play with their, PlayStation, Nintendo, be unsupervised, they are forced to come to school and shadow, whether it's an administrator, principal, or what have you, and not lose out on instruction. They have been provided an opportunity to reflect on what they did wrong, what rule or expectation they violated, and what they can do differently moving forward. This morning, I got to visit your community day school. Your principal there, Matt, is doing a great job. Your social worker, Erica, is phenomenal. Your superintendent decided and the board decided to hire these targeted case managers, which the DOJ is thrilled that you have decided to invest in meeting the mental health needs of students. So that is not accurate. Students are still being suspended. Consequences are being applied. But the administration, together with other stakeholders, teachers, and classified, are working harder to make the consequences more relevant than simply a day off. And the data reflects that you have less suspensions, but you're still suspending. You're still doing expulsions, as you can see on your agenda tonight. You're still holding students accountable for the serious, infractions that should be suspended and expelled for. But all the other stuff that's discretionary, your team is doing a fine job in finding alternatives to meet those needs.
Kids who have participated in the shadow, is there any records kept? Or are we having repeaters? Are we going one time and then behave themselves, or any records on that?
Yeah, records are kept. I don't know if Dr. Willenberg, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so we have to document all our interventions because that was one of the issues that we had before DOJ came in, is we were either suspending or expelling and not documenting all the things we did with kids before we got to suspension or expulsion. And so now, if a kid is on structured day, so they get picked up in the office by a campus supervisor or an administrator, and they're walked to first period. They give up their phone, whatever. They're picked up after first period and walked to second period. Then they're picked up and they go to a room for break, and we get them breakfast. And then they're walked to third period, and then they spend intervention time at lunch with an administrator or a teacher or a campus supervisor, or some days a superintendent. And so then we document that in Swiss, which is the system that we're using to track our interventions right now. And so you see that. And so when a kid, we pull the interventions on a kid, you see all the interventions that were happening, whether it's a phone call home, or they talk to the social worker, or they talk to the targeted case manager, or they talk to the principal, or they've been did 3 structured days. But one of the things we're doing is kids are going, just suspend me.
Yep.
And we go, okay, but you're going to still come back and do your structured days. And they go, what? Oh, yeah, no, you still have to do the structured day. And they go, we'll just do the structured day.
Kids
Yeah, we
want to
won't
be
do the
suspended. Yeah, kids want to go home. Suspend me on a Friday. I'd love that.
Yeah.
So what the team is doing under Dr. Willenberg's leadership is far more relevant, and the kids don't like it. But it's what's right. You know, it gives them a real consequence. When you take away a student's lunchtime from being with their friends, whoo, that's torture. So they're really thinking outside of the box. And I've actually, in some of my consulting work, have used your district as a model to follow. Some of your practices have just been phenomenal. Some of your teacher leaders, some of the respect agreements and social contracts that I see when I see the classroom, there was amazing stuff happening, as Dr. Willenberg mentioned today. Some real good instruction taking place, great classroom management. Same thing with your campus monitors and your targeted case managers. They're just doing a great job. Dr. Willenberg, not too long ago, sent me something that transportation put together. I don't remember all the details, but it was this really cool thing acknowledging positive behavior, like on the school bus and trying to reinforce PBIS, on the bus. That's when the magic happens, when everyone buys in. So just want to let you know, I've been super impressed as your monitor. DOJ has provided some very good feedback as well. You guys are doing a great job, and we hope that you continue down that path of success, because it's what's best for students.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure to be here. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 7, quarterly Williams Act complaints.
So we have had no Williams Act complaints during this last quarter, and that's facilities, instructional materials, or teacher misassignment.
Item 8, annual review of the BPAR 5116.1 and BPAR 6145.
Education codes 35160.5 and 48980 mandate that the board annually review BP and AR 5116.1 inter-district open enrollment and BPAR 6145 extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Both policies and regulations are up to date and being implemented appropriately.
Old business, there is none. Consent calendar, recommendations for approval. Is that one reading?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 22, contract with Benon Sport Field Turf USA to replace the track and turf. Dr. Willenberg.
So I'm going to have Mr. Legrone, and I believe we have some representatives from the company with the turf and track replacement. We have some samples here, but we thought we would, I would have Mr. Legrone talk about it. But one of the issues we were looking at is the track is what, 12 years old? And it is starting to get a little rough. So we were just going to replace just the track. And then when we brought, they said, hey, you should probably do the turf too, because the turf is 12 years old and it's showing a little wear. So they are a state approved vendor. So you wouldn't have to go out to bid with it because their price is state set. And so that's why we were going to go with that vendor if you approve it. But we also asked them to bring us a sample of the product so you have it.
So good evening. Thank you for allowing us to present this evening. As Dr. Willenberg said, there are samples up there that you guys can look at. And what I'm going to have my team back here do is kind of present the difference between the different track models, the 200 and 300 series, and then also go over the field turf. So I'll have them come and do a quick introduction and show you have a slide you wanted to show?
Yeah, we've got a PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jeff Dickey. I'm the regional manager for Tarquette Sports, which is the mothership of both Bynum and Field Turf. Bynum Tracks is located in Fresno, and Field Turf is a worldwide company, but has offices in Santa Rosa, Sacramento, various locations around California. When we came out and looked at the project, I was very familiar with the project because when it was put in years ago, I tried to bid on the job, but wasn't allowed to bid on it. And what we've seen with the wear of the running track is very common with the type of surface that has come in. I think it was promised to last a little longer than it has, but it has lasted 12 years. Unfortunately, that system can't be resurfaced. It has to be removed and replaced. The products that we are putting forth are a little more budgetary friendly for school districts because you can resurface the product. So once you put it in 10, 12 years later, you don't have to rip it out and put a new one in. You can just resurface it. And the resurfacing cost is about 60% less than the original cost of installation. And it's more friendly, budgetary friendly than the current product that you have. This is a design layout very similar to what you have now. One thing Jim had said was you need the field to be very generic, not Orville, because of being a multi-use. That has some real advantages. It's cheaper when you don't have multiple inlays and logos and colors. And then on the running track, the two-colored running track system is a very durable UV using these colors. When people go to odd colors like a purple or an orange or something, they fade. But these two colors, the red and then the beige, are the two most UV stable products. So it'll last through the life cycle, which is about 12 years, 10 to 12 years, and won't discolor to where it's unsightly for your kids and for the community. And this includes the runways too, correct?
Yes.
And then also switching from 8 lanes to 9 lanes. The current lane width you have now is 4 feet wide. By going to 9 3.5-foot lanes, we can add a 9th lane around the track oval, which gives you more flexibility for hosting track meets. You can have more heats for your events.
Every track coach and commissioner who I talk with says don't, the 9th lane is really not needed. I went to the World Championships in Oregon. They didn't use that.
Right. Yeah. That's our facility. That's our track.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm really questioning whether we need a 9th lane.
Well, the
You
8
don't
lane.
have to have it to do a state. You don't have to have it to do anything fancy. Correct.
No, the 48-inch lanes that you currently have are actually college lanes or international Olympic lanes. Every high school in California has 42-inch lanes. So it actually is to the advantages of the kids in terms of practicing and stuff to practice on 42-inch lanes, because that every competition they're going to go to will have 42-inch lanes. The 48-inch lanes were because of the product that you have out there is an international Olympic product made in Italy, and that's the reason they have 48-inch lanes. The advantage of the 9th lane is we do in-services after we put the product in. We ask that we have facilities there and athletics, but also physical education. The advantage of the 9th lane is having PE walk to the outside of the track, thus not wearing the inside of your track. The inside of a running track gets much more use naturally. The people think, the track team wears the track.
it's PE wears the track more than the track team wears the track. So we like to have an in-service and instruct the PE people to have their kids walk to the outside of the track. That'll distribute wear better. And then they can use the inside of the track if they're doing, say, physical education, timing, things like that. But just for average PE class walking, we ask that you go to the outside.
We're not adding a lane or expanding it. Okay,
No, the track stays exactly the same width. We just stripe it to a high school versus college.
You know,
I appreciate the explanation.
Yeah, that was very good. Yeah.
I was under the assumption the reason they did that was for Special Olympics.
Excuse me for speaking up. The reason that that line is for wheelchairs, and we've had, Butte County has had events at the school for wheelchairs, activities for the kids.
You know, that's new for me because I know Special Olympics, Buchanan.
Yeah.
You know, Buchanan and Clovis host big national Special Olympics. That's the first I've heard of that. And that's something we'll check on because we're not changing the width of the track. We can stripe the track back as 8 lanes, 48-inch lanes. And if that's preferred, and that's not a decision that we need to make. It doesn't change the cost. It's simply a layout.
And PE doesn't use this.
Oh, they
There
don't.
wouldn't be physical.
Okay.
No. it
Yeah,
was-
and you don't have public usage either, correct?
Well, yeah, we do.
Okay, well then, that,
Probably more than we should.
yeah, well, and so we'll do signage talking about using the outside lanes. I used to live in Pacific Grove, and they actually put an article in the local newspaper, and amazingly, the public, it was peer pressure. The public could walk to the outside, and if somebody was walking on the inside, the public could tell them to get to the outside. We had little stripes on the track saying public usage, and it actually, their track lasted longer, about 3 years longer than normal, because it is peer pressure. If you get a group of people walking on the outside, they'll tell people to come outside. If you don't say anything about it, then people just naturally go to the inside. But that's a great point. We'll check into that, but it doesn't change. Nothing would change in terms of design or cost. That would be a final determination on striping.
But the state has, I know, opened up where they can have special meets with, we don't have it here that much, but in other places where they have actual meets, wheelchair meets with them. All of them, all the events are wheelchair people.
So
Yeah, we can look into that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
we appreciate that because that's not, you know, I've been in the business 35 years, and one of the changes within that time is the multi-use. It used to just be a track team, and now they'll do, you know, fun runs on them and stuff, but also Special Olympics and Masters, which is seniors events. So.
Now, something that caught my eye.
Sure.
You said this last 12 to 13 years? And,
Yeah.
and the warranty's for 5.
Right.
Well,
Because of the fact that the warranty is an all encompassing, but when you get into normal wear and tear on warranty, the track's going to wear. It's and the difference a little bit of the track you have now. When it started wearing, it started chunking out. Wear on a, be it a 300 or a 200 system, is a gradual. The 300 system has an 8-year warranty. The 200 system has a 5-year warranty. But basically, that's a full warranty based on everything but vandalism. Or
did you say the
active
300
guys.
system has an 8 or a 5?
It has an 8-year warranty. And I think that was a misprint. Yeah, the
Okay.
300 system has an 8-year warranty, and the 200 system has a 5-year warranty.
And what
Okay.
does the warranty actually mean?
The warranty means that if you get excessive flaking of the granules, if you get bubbling, if you get unadhesion, you know, where the outside of the track curls up, All those things are warranted. And those are the common things that you see. You know, really what's not
Not
warranted.
real common, I hope.
Yeah, no, no. Well, and actually, in all these years, we have very few warranty. I mean, we, you know, true warranty. A lot of times, warranties are, it's the track gets torn,
Yeah.
and it's probably some outside thing tore the track. But for us, that's one of the things we pride ourselves on. Is we know budgets at school districts really aren't set up to spend consistent money.
Yeah.
And so we repair, I'd say 90% of the tracks within a reasonable period of time. We come in and patch for free. Corning, we've been at Corning over a half dozen times, and they're non-warranty issues, but Corning, you know, his budget does not allow them to consistently spend money because a blower fell off the back of a cart, somebody dropped a soccer goal on it, those sort of things. Really, it's vandalism. That's the one thing that's excluded, and that's very rare, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And that'd be like graffiti from, and that's usually rival schools, so that wouldn't really fit here because you have big school rivalries and somebody will come and spray paint something on a track. That's our most common callback.
And I don't understand, why did we decide to do the track at the same time? Because it's just as bad as the turf?
Yeah, so the turf, if the turf isn't done this year, you know, coming up 2023, it's going to be 2024. The turf is starting to lose its fibers. And once you start losing its fiber, then you lose the ability to put the infill in it and it becomes safety hazard. So GMAX testing, which is the testing done when you drop a ball for head, you drop this cylinder and it for head impact, it's getting very close on GMAX. And one of the things you never want to have as a school is having a field that might slightly drop below the minimum GMAX in case you have an injury on the field. And then somebody gets a lawyer and they come out and test. And if it tests too firm, because as the fibers wear down, basically synthetic turf's carpet, lack of a better way, it's made in Georgia. Our turf's made in Georgia. Most of the turf's made in Georgia. And it's fibers, and it's carpet. So the top of the fibers wear off. Well, as that wears off, it loses its ability to hold the protective infill in it, which is the softening of, say, for head injuries or for cutting. And so it's a natural life. The field you guys have here is the longest lasting one of its kind in California. All those fields from that manufacturer have been torn out, and a lot of them were torn out years ago. So Elk Grove, I believe, replace their fields in the 6 to 7 year range. So you know, the new ones are.
And what is the
Yep.
age of yours? How long is it gonna last?
Yeah, about that same period of time. The synthetic turf's going to last around 12 years.
Because I didn't realize it was so expensive.
Yeah.
So it's like 700, it's like 1.5 million.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what it says here.
if you take the track out of it, and that's what you're looking at. About every 12 years, you're looking at an expenditure.
Of $1.5
But
million.
yeah, but it'll be less than that because of the resurfacing versus putting in a brand new track like you have to now. So, sure. Yeah. Well, and the thing with synthetic turf is it's hours of usage, because some synthetic turf only lasts, say, 7 or 8 years, but that would be a public setting that has constant usage on it. You have every youth sport, you have every youth. So there isn't a exact time frame that it lasts, but with good maintenance and that it'll last, you know, in that range of 12 years.
Spikes,
Yeah,
there's always questions.
yeah, there's,
Nothing to do with it,
Yeah. You know, we've done a lot of testing on it, and the initial thought was long spikes tore tracks up more. The testing is now that 1/8" spikes cause almost more damage than a 1/4" spike. 1/4". Yeah, because it penetrates down into the surface where a smaller spike tears the top of it. We call it bear claw scratching. And so 1/4" spikes, you don't want to go over 1/4" spikes, but 1/4" spikes are recommended. 1/8" spikes won't hurt the track necessarily, but if you consistently use 1/8" spikes, it can scratch the track. Yep. Yep. And that's become more and more universal. There was the thought process, the smaller the better, but it doesn't penetrate down enough, so it tears the top, and the 1/4" penetrates down more and then lifts back out. So. No, if that's black, that would be tires, but that's not what you're getting.
You're getting it.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the jar. So what we're recommending is cork. It cools the field. Cools the field significantly. You don't have the issues. The rubber tire issues that had kind of blown up. Governor Schwarzenegger did huge studies on that. It came back. There was absolutely nothing to it. There's hundreds of studies about recycled tire rubber. But what we're finding with the cork is it lowers the temperature of the field. It'll lower it, you know, the advertising says 30 degrees. I'm going to say 18 to 22 degrees. Yeah. Yeah. And that's. Yeah. Yeah. You get a hot day here, early football season, and a hot day on synthetic turf. The field's going to be hot. By putting cork, you lower it some, but it's hot. And it does, and because of all the attention paid to head impact, we're suggesting you put a safety pad underneath it to give yourself double. You both have the infill and you have a cushioning pad underneath. That will help. Yeah.
So, is your company, it's not subleased out, is it? You do all the deep cleaning and the
we do everything ourselves. Our track division, we manufacture our own materials. We have our own crews out of Fresno. We do everything ourselves. And in our turf division, the products manufactured in Georgia, our crews are here in California. We do everything in-house at our company. We don't subcontract out labor. We don't subcontract out for materials. Oh, quick. Yeah, we pride ourselves on that. That's one of the things we pride ourselves more is being local. Our advertising talks a lot about Hayward Field or University of Oregon, USC, and what we're most proud of, Orland. I know they, Corning.
West Valley.
Yeah, we, Corning, we're getting ready to put a turf field in. We did the track there, and they're so happy with the service we've provided. And they had a water damage problem, and it bubbled the track, and we came in and helped them solve that. And so we're going to be starting a turf field there. Red Bluff, they were happy with the turf, and we're going to be putting a new track in Red Bluff starting in the winter, just getting the construction started. They're going to get a whole new track around their stadium. So, but that's what we pride ourselves on is being local. So it's great to do the national stuff. Hey, we did the Falcons and we did the Patriots and that kind of stuff, but that really isn't that important. Was Live Oak. When Live Oak did their track, that was a big deal for Live Oak. Yeah. So,
try to move on here to the turf track. So the cost to replace the track, including a maintenance program, is $726,440. If we go to add the turf replacement is $862,781. So if you add it up, Mrs. King is correct. It's about $1.5 million.
And can I add that if we wait to do this turf, it's gonna be an additional cost because we're gonna have to protect that track when they do the turf. Because they're gonna be driving equipment over it, so we should consider that now as well.
So when you do this, you would do the turf first.
Yeah, that's a great point. We like to sequence doing the turf first and then the track, because otherwise you have to bridge over the track. You have to really protect, and it adds a lot of cost, and it's almost impossible to not at some point tear the track. So
So I know there's been concerns from track coaches about some of the pits, football pits and stuff like that, right? Is there any of that?
Yeah, but most of the runways and everything is just covering them with, covering the sand pits so that it's easy on, easy off, yet secure.
So this would be done the same
That's
way
the
as
way
it is now.
But that's
Yes.
not you guys.
yeah, and we look at if there's pit covers and those sort of
That's
things.
track coach.
Yeah, but yeah, none of that would change other than there's some modifications when we make adding pit covers or putting covers over the pits. You know, when you can cover the pits up so that people don't step in them accidentally and stuff. There's covers and they're very inexpensive actually. So.
Is there any more questions from the board? What is the pleasure of the board? Are we, we have a motion.
That's a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, and again, we will do
You
a
promised
great job.
wins?
No.
While we're still on that.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna give Tom a big public accolade for all he does in Orville. Orville High forever, he lives in Chico, and he's done the work for Orville, but most 10 people have been here all their life. Tommy, my boy, I wanna thank you, and I wanna thank Noni too. Noni.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really has a lot to do with keeping things in decent shape out there.
All right, item 23, 21, 22, unaudited actuals, Dr. Watts.
Okay, now the really fun stuff. The unaudited actuals, all year, you've been, looking at budgets and having you approve revisions. And so we get down now where you're finally seeing real numbers. This is what our year looked like for 21, 22 financially. If you look at the general fund tab, we brought in about $39 million in revenue. We spent about 37, and we had an excess of revenue over expenditures of about 2.7 million. We ended the year with an ending fund balance of $14,900,000. In the end, we had a lot of, we're spending a lot of money that we got with COVID, so a lot of one-time money. If you look at the ending fund balance, we have $1,000 we put away for revolving cash, $51,000 for prepaid expenditures. We have almost $3,700,000 in restricted program carryovers. So that's money that we were allocated that we have a few years to spend it, and so those will carry over into the next year. And then we've assigned some money. The schools carried over a little bit over $200,000 of their allocations, and that goes back into their budget. Hall of Fame ended the year with almost $21,000.
You know what? Can I interrupt you for a second? And the Hall of Fame, I wasn't there this year, but I hear all these great reports about it, Ray and I guess Paula.
It
I mean,
was,
it is.
it was really interesting
It
this
is
year.
really,
It was
really
fun.
top notch. Couldn't do without Ray.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same without Ray. Oasis has $68,000 in our general fund to be spent for athletics. The supplemental concentration grant, this is the first year where we were required to carry over any unused funds. And so we had $255,000 of unused funds, mainly because of staffing issues, not being able to fund positions. So we had positions budgeted for, but we couldn't fill them, so we have carryover in that area. The solar maintenance and operations money that we set aside for solar savings to help pay for our maintenance contract is going down every year. So that 9,000 will be used this year, and then we won't have that allocation anymore. Transportation has $22,000 in it that they sold vehicles, so they have money that they could put towards replacing a vehicle. We had the long-standing $100,000 for Harrison Stadium, which probably will go towards the track and field, so that will go away here soon. And then we still have $46,000 in donations that were given to us for field lighting at the high school baseball and softball fields, and we haven't tackled that project yet. And then Indian Ed had some money that they got from one of the casinos to do some field trips, so they had some of their money left over. At the end of the day, we were able to maintain our 17% reserve, and we had $4.4 million unassigned. Right now, we're still, throughout getting all the COVID one-time monies, we're funding some ongoing expenditures through those one-time sources. So our reserves are building to do one-time projects. And so some of that, like the additional, we have money in, and you'll see here later, in our capital facilities fund to help fund this turf and track replacement. But
I was going to ask you, so how do we pay that much for the turf and track?
Well, we have money. We've
Our
been setting aside.
$100,000
Yeah, that's not very much. We have. Let me see. We'll get to it, but we have
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
almost $1 million, a little bit over $900,000 of RDA money that we've been setting aside,
wow.
knowing we'd have to replace it at some
Okay.
time. Then we have the $100,000 in the general fund, and then in that unassigned, the rest of it will come out of that one-time money in the unassigned. So we have that, and then we have multiple projects that the board approved, a big long list of projects, and we've been chunking. Jim's been chunking away at it.
Mhm.
I haven't put too much effort into it, and so we are getting one-time projects done, but there's still a big long list, so that will go towards completing those projects. The student body fund, this is a fund we put in here to report the student body activity to the state. They ended the year with $351,000. 221 of that belongs to Las Plumas, and 130 of that belongs to the Oroville High Student Body Fund. That's earned by the students and governed by the students. So this is just an accounting of those funds. And then the adult ed fund this year brought in $1.6 million. They had excess revenue of $44,000. So Jeff works really hard to keep his budget balanced. So he did a good job this year. And they have $794,000 at the end of the year. The cafeteria fund, that was our success story. That was a positive thing this year. For the first time in 2 years, they had a regular, full year where everybody was on campus and everybody was eating for free. So we weren't sure how that was going to look, but we ended up bringing in $176,000 to the good. And that's the first time in many years that we had a positive ending fund balance. And so they ended the year with about $200,000 left. And then the capital facilities fund.
So Susan, So
Mhm.
a lot of students must be eating, and then must get that money from the state.
Right, we get reimbursement. It also includes probably about $90,000 of emergency reimbursement money for COVID that we
Yeah,
got
anyway.
after the fact. So that's in there, but still, even if you don't account for that, we still
I
ended up
think that's
to the
wonderful.
good. Right. Yes, students are taking advantage of
Thank goodness.
the free meals. And then the capital facilities funds, we hold that kind of in two separate pots. One is the developer fees, and that has to be used on facilitating growth. And so we have 1.1 million in that. We have, we're looking at replacing those old portables, that set of old portables at Las Plumas. So that project will come out of here. And then we have the RDA money of $937,000. So that plus, what we're bringing in this year will go towards the track and turf replacement. And then the bond interest and redemption fund. After we paid all of our obligations on our bond payments, we ended up with about 3.2 million. Those will sit there and continue to cover our obligations. So we ended up the year in a good financial position, and then we'll still continue to fund those one-time projects and try to work on that unassigned balance to try to get that down.
So when you say that, does that mean we have a want list will be taken care of?
Our what?
You want to get that amount down. What does that mean?
Well, you want to be using, I always hound everybody, this year's money on this year's kids. And so, we need to have a reserve, and we have the 17%, but we should be using the rest of it on things that the district needs.
So is there extra money that needs to be spent?
There is, but we have that big one-time list of projects. And so
So is that what we're
that's
working
going to
off
go
of?
towards, it's going to go towards that. We probably have, I'm sure we have more on the list than we have funding to be able to fund the projects with.
But can we look at that, maybe reprioritize?
Mhm.
Yeah, not make a new list, but just look at the list and kind of.
Right. And Jim maybe has some things that he'd like to add to it. We were just
Well,
talking
Jim had
about
his
that
night
this
in the
week.
sun already tonight. That deal.
So, yes, we'll bring that back at the next meeting.
Thanks. Recommendations for approval. Second? Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 24, adoption of the 21-22 actual and the 2-23 estimated GAN limit resolution. Dr. Watts, is that 22? Follow? Thank you. 22-23, okay.
I just also
Dr.
wanted to add on the unaudited actuals, our independent auditors are here this week, or not here this week, virtually in the district this week. And so they're auditing all of these balances. So there could be an adjustment if they find, that we have something that we didn't account for, but otherwise they'll verify this, and those will be the balances that go in the audit report. The GAN, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. The adoption of the 21-22 actual and the 22-23 estimated GAN limit, we have to prepare a GAN limit calculation so that the state can adopt their GAN limit. It doesn't really affect any of our operations. So this is just that exercise so that the state can do their thing.
No, that's great. Don't ask me any questions.
You don't even need to know. It's just we have to do this. It automatically gets calculated.
Remember, the only things I ever cared
in the
about was
process.
the cafeteria, the buses,
the money, the
and
RDA
the
money for the
savings,
track.
and the savings
Solar
account.
savings.
Well, solar too. but-
How about recommendation adoption of resolution 4/22/23 as presented? Do I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 25, resolution regarding certification of independent study coursework. Dr. Willenberg.
So due to the state changing requirements for independent study, the board must annually certify that our courses meet the following criteria. They have the same rigor and educational quality as equivalent classroom-based courses. All courses shall be aligned to all relevant local and state content standards. Students have access to all courses offered by Ouhsd for graduation and are approved by UC or CSU as creditable courses under A through G.
Recommendation.
We have done that, and so we're recommending approval of Resolution 5/22/23.
Okay, recommendations for approval of 5/22/23.
So moved.
Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 26, tentative agreements with MOU between the district and CSEA. Dr. Willenberg.
So the district and our classified employee group reached a tentative agreement on September 19th, 2022 to update the language contained in Article 3, Rights and Activities, and Article 15, Reduction of Workforce due to lack of funds and/or work. Agreement was also previously reached on an MOU regarding the effects of the district's assumption of transportation for OCESD special education students, and we're recommending approval.
Do I have a motion? And a second.
Second.
Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 27, resolution in support of Red Ribbon Week. Dr. Willenberg.
So traditionally, the board has supported the district's efforts to participate in Red Ribbon Week. The concept behind Red Ribbon Week is to show commitment to a drug-free society by wearing red ribbons during the week of October 23rd to 31st, and we're recommending approval of number 6/22/23.
Do I have a motion? Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 28, out-of-state field trip for LPHS FFA to attend the National FFA Convention. Dr. Willenberg.
So LP is requesting approval for 8 students and 2 teachers to attend the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana, from October 24th to the 30th. This field trip is also a high-risk activity due to swimming in the hotel pool. Mr. Daly is certified in CPR. Teacher expenses will be funded by the ESSER 3, and student expenses will be funded by self-payment, fundraising, and ASB funds. And we're recommending approval.
Motion? And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Amended, 29, amended personnel assignment order. Do I have a motion for approval? And second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item 30, expulsion 3/22/23.
I make a motion that expulsion case 3/22/23 be expelled for the remainder of the 22-23 school year, and refer to Butte County Community Schools to continue their education.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 31, expulsion 4/22/23.
I make a motion that expulsion case 4/22/23 be expelled for the remainder of the 22-23 school year, be referred to a community day school to continue their education.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 32, expulsion 5/22/23.
I make a motion that expulsion case 5/22/23 be expelled for the remainder of the 22-23 school year, be referred to Butte County Community School to continue their education.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 33, expulsion 6/22/23.
I make a motion that expulsion case 6/22/23 be expelled for the remainder of the 22-23 school year, be referred to independent study program to continue their education as set forth in the student's stipulated expulsion agreement and rehabilitation plan dated and executed on September 22nd, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 34, expulsion 7/22/23.
I make a motion that expulsion case 7/22/23 be expelled for the remainder of the first semester of the 22-23 school year, be referred to community day school to continue their education.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 35, expulsion 9/22/23.
I make a motion that expulsion case 9/22/23 be expelled for the remainder of the 22-23 school year. Be referred to independent study program to continue their education as set forth in the student's stipulated expulsion agreement and rehabilitation plan dated and executed on October 11th, 2022.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item for next agenda. Kurt, you'll have we're gonna meet with Thrive before then, is that right?
We will have Thrive in the district next week, and we should have an update on what they found.
Are you having a meeting? I mean,
What's an update? I'm sorry, what does that mean? Like a,
So they're in the district, they're
Yeah.
gathering information. We should have an update on some of the findings they found during their visit and their surveys
are
and
they
talking
going
to
out?
group.
Like them out?
are they gonna, are a couple of the board members gonna meet with them or be in a meeting with them or something?
We have Ray scheduled to do a meeting with them,
Your 2 meetings next Wednesday.
2 meetings
Okay,
next
good.
Wednesday,
Good.
but we can send the schedule out to you. It's, we have parent meetings at Orville and LP.
Oh, good.
So we're trying to spread the wealth. 25th and 26th, and I'll have Paula send you guys the.
Did you have
updated
you had response on those? People gonna attend?
We have some. We have the principals telling us who they're going to have as their core group, and then we're inviting all the parents.
Okay.
We send it out on parents' slurs, but in the
But
newsletter.
I bet you don't hear any response, they just show up. Okay, all right.
And where are those meetings?
Orville and LP. We will send you the schedule with the location.
Okay, is there a motion for adjournment?
Oh, wait a minute, and then Corey, could we please look into how we could encourage teachers to coach sports, either for longer or to do it or whatever? You know, what you talked about, I don't know about longevity, maybe there are some other avenues.
We can explore some options.
Motion for adjournment. Second?
Second.
Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Let me turn this on.
Welcome.